Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Jorgensen from Frontier Pediatrics, and this is my partner,
Dr. Corinne Barchi.
and we're here to talk about
High school sex.
oh gosh. What are some of the questions and the things that come up in clinic for you with teenage girls, teenage boys when it comes to sex?
A lot of don't tell my mom, or my mom doesn't know, or there's very bring it up and there's kind of walls that go up automatically. That kind of goes back to some of the earlier podcasts we did about talking about it early.
You know, I'll have the girls that come in and they're like, I have really bad acne, so I think you need to start me on birth control. And then I literally have to be like, okay.
And the rules have changed too.
Yeah,
so
they
where
have.
we can't talk to them
without parental permission, which in some ways I think is good, because those
Encourages that
conversations in the
relationship.
past, I would very much be like, hey, this is something that's important for you to be able to talk with about your parents. Like, they care about you, they love you, they want to see the best for you. Like, this is something that you should be able to talk with about. Do you want me to share this with them? Do you want to share it with them, with me in the room? Like, how are we going to do this? Because this isn't something that we should necessarily be keeping from your parents, right? Especially in families where they haven't had those open conversations. Help them bridge that relationship with their parents so that they can tell their parents.
How do you navigate a situation where the gap isn't going to be bridged?
Gosh.
And
it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard. I have so much empathy because that parent is coming from a place of fear. They want the best for their kid. There is like shame and fear, I would say, are probably the big two emotions. And, that's a really hard position to be in as a parent when you're feeling a lot of shame and fear for your child. And then I think for the child, they're wanting to be able to be open. They're wanting to get support. They're trying to figure out who they are and what they're about. And sexuality is one of the things about figuring out who they are and what they're about. And so I think most of the time, kids want to be able to talk to their parents about it. I can't think of very many kids who, if their parents were open to it, they wouldn't want to be able to talk with their parents about it. What do you think?
I would say that there's probably a mix, and I think it probably depends on family dynamics, like how open you are as a family in general. Cultural norms and values and religion all kind of play a role too.
Definitely.
But I would say I get a lot of resistance from teenagers to even want to talk, even when they're, their parents. And maybe it's the shame on them, like fear of judgment and shame that way as well.
Definitely, I think you're right. They feel that way. I feel like part of what I really try to do is like, hey, we're here. Back to that, like, I want you to be happy and healthy. Yeah. And part of you being happy and healthy is us navigating how to support you through this. And I feel, and most of the time when it's like, hey, we really need to tell your parent, how do you want to go about doing that? Normally I'm pleasantly surprised how well those conversations go. I would say like 99% of the time, the parent handles it a heck of a lot better than what the kid thought they were going to handle it.
Yeah, and it's more of that.
Yeah, and
just opening that door to have that conversation.
Yeah. Sometimes you have those awful ones where you're like, wow, there's a lot to unpack in this relationship, and the fact that you're having sex actually is just like the icing on the cake. There's so many other broken parts, right? Yeah. And those ones are just so sad because those are ones. But the hope is that as a parent, you've already built that foundation, and so this is something that you can have that conversation. I feel like for me, a lot of my perspective is like my job's to give them the information, and then they get to help make that decision hopefully with the support of their parent.
What are your thoughts on if a parent wants a longer term option like Nexplanon or IUD, and the kid is like, oh no, I've seen those terrible things on TikTok. Right. I only want pills.
Right.
How do you navigate that?
So I feel like very strongly that part of kiddos going into those middle school and those high school years, part of what you need to be doing as a parent is empowering them to make decisions. And so I very much really encourage the parent, even if I agree with what the parent is, really trying to empower that kiddo to feel like they can make that decision. Because I just find that if they're getting forced to make a decision, it never goes well. And so if they can
Human nature.
Yeah, if we can empower them to make the decision. But I focus a lot on, okay, what are the pros and cons? What are your fears? Let's really talk about those. Why you want that method. Let's talk about what that really means. What is it? How effective really is it? Oh, I talk a lot when kids are coming in, especially when it's those first consults with girls, about birth control and wanting to start on birth control for contraception, for pregnancy prevention, not birth control for acne. I have lots of conversations about okay, you're making this big step of a decision to share a part of your body with somebody, and it is a big thing. It has emotional ramifications, and it's a very intimate way. It's more intimate than any other way of connecting with another human being. And that's why there's so much emotion, and there's so many values, and there's so much shame and fear and all those emotions around it, because it is this very intimate way of connecting with another human being, right? And so I talked with him about making those responsible decisions. But then I also talked to him about why are you doing this? Because really the only reason you should have sex, whether you're a boy or a girl and you're having sex with boys or girls, is the only reason you're doing that is because you care about that person so much and you want to share that intimate part of yourself with that person.
Which I don't really feel like that's most of the time the case. And
right, which is so sad. That's not the way it should be, right? That's the only reason that it should happen, is because you want to have that. So you don't do it because you feel pressured. You don't do it because you feel like it's some sort of rite of passage. You don't do it because you think it'll make you keep that person, because it's not going to keep that person. You don't make it because you think it'll make you feel better about yourself, because it's probably not going to make you feel better about yourself.
Probably make you feel worse.
Yeah, because you're not doing it for the right reason, right? All of those things, because your friends are, because of whatever, none of those are good reasons to have sex with anyone. The only reason to have sex with someone is because you want to share an intimate part of yourself with that person. By the time kids, males and females, will graduate from high school, 1 in 8 children have been sexually assaulted. 1 in 8. That's actually incredibly high. By the time they graduate from college, by the time they meet their mid-20s, girls, the statistic is for girls, I don't know what the statistic is for boys, 1 in 4 girls has been sexually assaulted by the time they meet their mid-20s. 25% of women have been sexually assaulted.
Going back to those initial conversations, junior high age, having those conversations about, always building on those private parts, consent, etc. Because, as you know, we've experienced that with Sav when she was really little, 12, which is pretty young,
right?
Where she was a victim of a much older person. He was 18 or 19, I think, right? 19. And we didn't find out about it until a year later. And part of that was based on the shame and the guilt. And me as a mom and doing this job, thinking that, of course, she would talk to me about something like that, right? And then not finding out until a year later.
Right.
And then looking back, acknowledging that the behavior change and who she was, she wasn't her normal self, going, oh, well, now it makes sense. So it happening, her not talking about it, holding it in, created this domino effect of, what's going on? Why are you being a crazy kid?
Right.
And then finally finding out. And then you also helped navigate through that situation when we did find out, and helping navigate through all of those things. But just knowing that if there's some weird, your kid's okay, and then there's this weird behavior change, trying to delve into what could be going on.
As you said that, so first of all, Sav is so amazing. The arc of where she's been and how she's used that experience in her life to empower her and to empower other girls and other
Right.
people who've experienced it is like, it's that perfect example of like taking a really, really a really bad situation that she would have never chosen for herself and making it something super beautiful. So that's like huge props to Sav and huge props to you for giving her that support through that. But one of the things I was thinking about is, as I was saying, all of these reasons why you tell kids to have sex, when sex happens and it's non-consensual, I think that's almost like unintentionally, that's partly what creates the shame, because they feel like, oh, I was supposed to have sex in this way, and then it happened in this way. It's not even like, yes, it happened against my will. Yes, this wasn't, but also
She didn't talk about it because she felt
thought
shameful.
like she had
Right.
done something wrong, or
Right.
that something had been taken away from her, or I mean, I
Or
don't know.
made choices
Yeah.
that put her in the situation
Yeah.
to feel like it was her fault.
How do you feel like, how do you navigate that with your child? How do you talk with them about, like, we want it to be this way, this is the ideal way, but there is this there's this reality of consent, and consent is really important. And I can teach you all the things and start at a young age of understanding what that means, and it can still not turn out the
right.
way we want it to turn out. Like, how do you, like, looking back in hindsight, are there conversations you wish you would have had? Is there approaches you feel like would have been better?
I think probably during that like emotional shift of like, who is this, what's going on, like delving more into that, and probably not just making the assumption that like she's going through this like really bad
Like a
oppositional rebellious phase,
yeah.
right? Like what's going on, what's triggering, right? And like trying to delve deeper into that, like like knowing your baseline, and knowing that there's this weird shift that isn't just like being a bad kid, right?
Yeah. Boys, I know I talk with Ian a lot about consent. And I talk with both my kids a lot about consent, and about if it's not a hell yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, it needs to 100% be that way, and there needs to be that understanding.
And then just the navigation of how that affects your future sexual your future sexual
Right.
encounters,
Right.
and what triggers, and like it has long-term effects that probably not, unless you've experienced that, you're not going to know that it has all these long-term
Right.
effects, right? Like
Yeah.
how do you get to a space where it's okay again, or be comfortable in that space again?
If it happens, statistically, 25% chance for a female it's going to happen.
Which is huge.
What do you do?
In her specific case, going through the whole process of not just be like, okay, this happened, but like going and talking to, right, not me, the other provider, right, the counselor, the legal system. And I think one of the most powerful things was like her writing her story and then sharing it, right? Like, and is that we talked about, hey, ask her if she's okay having this discussion, and she was like, yes, of course, because she's read that victim impact statement in court several times. She was part of a special training program at Bucknell for Speak Up, which is talking about sexual assault and consent and all of that. And so I think the biggest thing for her situation was being able to speak about it and being open and not being ashamed. Like, this is my story, and I want to use it to help others, and maybe my story can help one other 12-year-old girl.
So as a parent, I think you giving her that space to be
and
able
having
to do
people
that.
around that could help with that, right?
Right. Us being able to be her cheerleaders and be like you're fantastic.
Share that story.
Share
That doesn't
it doesn't define you.
It doesn't define you.
Yeah.
You being able to speak up about it and stand up for it is what defines you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for watching this educational video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any more questions, you can always reach out to us at Frontier Peds. You can call us, or you can go to our website.